As with many delicate procedures in medicine, the level of our performance is largely determined by the level of our preparation. And it is no different with delicate conversations. To understand why it's important to prepare, even briefly, for these interactions, I think we should ask ourselves the question, why we even considered these conversations difficult in the first place. In my work as a communication skills teacher, there are 3 key reasons that come up again and again. The first reason we find these conversations difficult is emotion. For many of us, the idea of strong emotion arising in a conversation at work is really uncomfortable. That includes the triggering of emotion in others, but also the triggering of serious emotion in ourselves. The second reason we find these conversations difficult is time. As busy clinicians, we're all short on time, and for many of us, the prospect of a challenging interaction with no obvious time limit is enough to make us want to avoid it completely. The third reason we find difficult conversations difficult is they almost always involve some kind of mismatch or disagreement, either in our understanding of the situation at hand, or in our expectations of what should happen, or in our agendas for what we want from the situation. It's often all of these things at once. So how do we prepare for a difficult conversation in a way that addresses all of these concerns? Well, I have 3 tips for you. So my first tip is that you find a way to generate what Carl Rogers called unconditional positive regard. This means developing a sense of caring for the other person as a separate person, with permission to have their own feelings and their own experiences, no matter what they are. Personally, I found it enormously helpful to frame the other person as someone who is doing their best to move through the world with a set of beliefs and attitudes that probably weren't of their making, and in circumstances that are largely outside of their control. In fact, it's worth considering that every time you speak with the patient, their experience of the world may be dominated by a sense of disempowerment and loss of control. The very fact that they are here to see you, a health professional, probably means that something in their life hasn't gone to plan. I just find that carrying this kind of awareness and attitude into these difficult conversations means that if strong emotions do arise during the interaction, I'll be primed to respond to them with empathy rather than avoidance or with my own strong emotions. So my second tip is that you optimize the physical setting. The obvious things to address here are to ensure privacy and avoid interruptions. The less obvious thing to address here is to ensure that there is enough seats available for everyone to sit down. It's a simple thing, and there's all kinds of reasons why it's good to sit down when we talk to our patients. But for me, the most interesting reason is that there's now ample evidence to show that when we sit down with our patients, their perception of how much time we spend with them increases dramatically. What that means is that our patients perceive that we have given them more time without it actually costing us more time. So if you're a busy person and time efficiency is important to you, you would be crazy to ignore that fact. My third tip for you is this: anticipate difficulty. One of the reasons why dealing with mismatches like the ones I've mentioned at the start of the video are so hard is that they often catch us off guard. To deal with this, I suggest going into the conversation expecting some kind of mismatch. In fact, one useful model that I use to sort of work through my difficult conversations is one where the 2 parties begin the conversation in 2 quite disparate positions, particularly with regard to some important, pertinent issue. But through the use of skilled dialogue throughout the conversation, we are eventually brought into alignment. Now, of course, there is a downside to anticipating difficulty, and that is that it can actually trigger anxiety in us and may even lead us to try and avoid the conversation altogether. The trick is to have sufficient skill as a communicator that you can embark on these conversations confident that you can carry it through any turbulence to a successful conclusion.
So I hope you liked this video. Absolutely make sure to check out the course this video was taken from and to register for a free trial account which will give you access to selected chapters of the course. If you want to learn how MedMastery can help you become a great clinician, make sure to watch the About MedMastery video. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.